Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. I was just checking the stream, making sure it's all working okay. Hopefully you're here and you can see me. Welcome to the webinar. We are starting just a couple of minutes early just to make sure the live feed's working. I know last week we had a few problems with YouTube. Turns out it was a YouTube issue. Globally, it wasn't a kind of us thing. So please do say hello in the chat wherever you're joining from. If you're watching on LinkedIn or YouTube, that'd be great. Any questions, please do chip in and ask them, and we will chat a little bit more about how do you use LinkedIn events as a sales tool. How can a LinkedIn event actually help you sell more? Now, I've got some slides, but if you're up for chatting in the chat, obviously, I can talk about some more things with you, answer some questions, and help you understand the opportunity better. So hello, Edward. Hello, Michael. Hello, Chris. Hello, Lila from Ascension, Mexico. So welcome everybody who's joining. I've got the chat up on my screen. So I'm looking over here, but my screen's here and the chat's here. So if I look like I'm moving like that, it's so I can catch up with what you're saying in the chats and what you're saying in the stream. So do say hello. I can see some of you are actively in the chat, which is awesome. I'm going to give you a practical lowdown on how these LinkedIn events really work, how you can make them work. And I'll give you a couple of examples of how we're making them work for both large and small businesses. So we'll kickstart in a couple more minutes. We'll just wait for a few more people to join, and then we will get into the nitty-gritty of this. And the more questions you ask, the better it will be. So please do keep those questions coming in. And I can see some people are joining on YouTube now as well, which is awesome. So yeah, thank you so much for joining. I'm just setting up the chat windows here so I can see all of your comments and basically answer them and respond to them as we go. Now, and hello, Split the Difference. Hello, Alison. Brilliant. So let's just get into this. Let's dig into it. Hi, Scott. So let's just dig into this and show you how I've been using LinkedIn events, and you can ask questions as well and see where we get to. So if you've never met me before, I'm Dean. I founded MAVERRIK as a solopreneur. We now help hundreds of thousands of companies, hundreds and thousands of a bit ambitious at the moment. Anyway, hundreds and thousands of companies to win LinkedIn, whether that be personal branding, whether that be social selling, whether it be content, whether that be lead generation. That's what we do. Hi, Chris from Illinois. So I didn't start this, I didn't have a trust fund. I didn't have a small loan of $1 million. I started from scratch. So everything that we do ourselves. So we don't teach anything we don't do. And I've hosted more than 200 LinkedIn events, and we've had more than 100,000 attendees. So I think I'm qualified to be able to tell you how you can use these to make them profitable, help you win clients, particularly if some of you are watching and you're trying to reach some of those tough decision makers. 22% of B2B decision makers now will actively consume webinar or video content as part of their buying journey. So a webinar or a LinkedIn event can be an important tool in pushing people down the funnel, but it's also, as I'm going to reveal a bit later, way more effective if it's used as part of a strategy to engage prospects, and it's done deliberately in a way. So I'm going to show you that. So this is what we're going to cover and what we're going to talk about tonight. Hi, Thais. Hi, Jennifer. Welcome. Right. So how are we going to do this? So I'm going to talk about the purpose of the webinar just briefly, why the difficulty in getting prospects engaged, which is a problem every business is facing. How do we overcome this? And it's important to note here, it's important we understand why prospects are disengaged, or why they're less responsive now than maybe they were 6, 12, 18 months ago, 2 years ago. I'm going to explain LinkedIn events. What are they? How do they work? How they accelerate sales. I'm going to show you a process map and we're going to do some Q&A. And if you're all quite quiet tonight, we'll wrap up early. And if you're a lively bunch and you've got lots of questions, we'll keep going till the last question is answered. So it's up to you. We'll go through it as quickly as we can. I'll tell you about some free resources we've got as well. So here we go. So purpose of the webinar, right? I'm hosting this webinar because I'm practicing what I preach. So my job with this webinar is fourfold, and I'll explain what it is. Education and build our brand. So in other words, I'm going to give you some information that's going to help you. It's going to be practical. It's going to be useful. And that will help build Maverick's brand and my personal brand, because I'm providing this information for free and help and tips for free. Some of you will not be our ideal customer. You'll not be a fit for us, and that's cool. But if you know people who would benefit from us, refer us. That's basically one of my objectives. It's to grow our engagement, and it's to win some business. And what I'm going to say to you is everything I've just said applies to you too. So if you decide to use LinkedIn events, this is the primary 4 purposes that you should be using your LinkedIn events for. Education and building brand, referrals and recommendations, growing your engagement, and winning business, right? And we can help you do this. So we can teach you how to do it. We can guide you how to do it. We can do it with you, and we can do it for you. So we have some clients, particularly in technology sectors, where they're trying to reach very senior level decision makers, and they hire Maverick to actually do this. So they could do it themselves, but they want our expertise. They want to eliminate the guesswork. So just to add, we have got a free course, and it's free. There's no catch or anything, that you can get access to. If you want to drop us an email, hi Juan, hi Afan. If you want to drop us an email, we'll send you the details of this free course. You just sign up, log in, go through the lessons, download the worksheets, and it will help you put this whole thing together. So do feel free, drop us an email. Can I have access to the free mini course? Send that email through to our inbox, and we will grant you access to your email address. So if you want the mini course, maybe you need to drop out or whatever, we've got a bit more in depth inside the mini course if you want it. Hi, Gary from North Carolina. No, sorry, Northern California. Sorry, Gary. Right, so if you want the mini course, just drop us an email. You send me an email. So go to your email server, email client, send an email to us, and we will send you access to this course. So let me just start with, why is it so difficult to reach people right now? And then I'll show you how the setup of your webinar will make the difference. One, just to say, send us an email. So don't put your email in the chat. Drop me an email. So write an email and send an email to me, hi@maverick.io, and we will email you back with the details. So we'll just send you a link so you can get in. So don't put your email in the chat, send me an email. So I'll bring this up a bit later. I just want to get into it, but I'll bring it up a bit later, but just send us an email. Can I have access to the free mini course on LinkedIn events? And we will get that to you. Okay, so why is it difficult, right? This sets up why LinkedIn events are so powerful, such a really good tool for sellers, but also for the reluctant seller. So if you're an SDR or a business development person and you're not you're fearless when it comes to sales, this can help you with tough to reach prospects, people who may be non-responsive, people who've been very difficult to engage with. That's the first one. If you're the reluctant seller and you don't want to feel like so pushy, you don't want to be, diving into people's DMs as much, you don't want to be effectively pushing yourself or feeling like you're pushing yourself on people, then the event gives you loads of options of how to have more warm conversations. So it works whether you're a reluctant or die-hard seller. But your decision makers, I don't know what your inbox is like, but mine's horrendous. I get more than 5 sales outreaches per day. Now, we've all got to make a living, so I'm not into dissing people who are just trying to earn a living, but it is annoying, right? The other thing that happens is, because we're getting so much stuff, we tune out. We zone out. We don't really read our emails anymore. We just look for the important ones and deal with the important ones. We don't really look at every message we receive. We don't do any of this stuff anymore because we get so much stuff that is irrelevant or not important to us. So we triage all of our communications. And we triage it based on relevance and importance. And so if you're outreaching to people who don't know who you are, you have an uphill struggle. So this is something that's happened because of the pandemic, but it's also happened because automation and email access has just got so big and so vast that there's just so much noise. Happens with everything. It goes in ebbs and flows, but right now it's very, very tough because of this. And as a result of all that noise, and this is according to HubSpot and Gartner and all of these others, basically your outreach response rates have fallen by 30%. So I'm making the case here for why the events are so powerful, and then I'll show you how we use them to make the thing work. So the outreach response rates are down. So the reality is, and let's be honest, if you think about how we're doing outreach, whether you're a solopreneur or a salesperson, it doesn't matter. You have to outreach, right? There's no magic. I'll just say this. I do content. I get prolific with content on social media, and I get a good number of leads. But the good number of leads is not enough to fuel my business. So I have to do outreach as well. Inbound leads from content. So I have to do outreach of some form. I have to engage prospects in some way. But the reality is, a lot of the world right now is in the space where I need to outreach to 500 people to get one or two or three good leads. And that really isn't sustainable. So what we need to do is find a way to actually warm up a ton of people and get more conversations without burning people in the process. So the noise is a big problem, right? It's distracting buyers. It's taught buyers to not pay attention to anything that isn't important or highly relevant. So this is where we can use LinkedIn events to our advantage. So Sydney, the mini course, it says free mini course. That means in my book, I know there's this. Can I just say, by the way, I don't know whether you found this on the cold outreach route, just whilst we're on this cold outreach route. I'm getting inundated with people who say, I will get you a ton of leads for free, and if we don't deliver, you don't pay. And it's completely free of risk. And then when you reply to them, they say, yeah, we want $5,000 deposit. There's so many stuff. So Sydney, yes, it's completely free. You send me an email, and I will get you access, and you can go through the course, and there's no cost. So the noise is a problem, and buyers are zoning out and only paying attention to what they absolutely need to, what's important to them. Everything else gets shelved. So what everybody's doing at the moment, and this is part of the problem, is they're trying to connect and convert. It's just like quick. I want you interested now or not at all. It's like, if you're not ready to buy now, I don't want to know. And we see this all the time. They'll send the messages, they'll do the thing, but it's all like, let's get to fourth base like tomorrow. Or so they're in this kind of content and connect and convert. It's like connect and pitch on LinkedIn or email. It's exactly the same. Or you see the other version of this, which is basically content and convert. And this is where you hope the content will do all the work for you. And then you get really frustrated that it won't do it. And you end up in this quest for more and more impressions in the hope that more impressions will convert more things. And then you start changing your content to try and get more impressions. And then you realize the more impressions you get, the more irrelevant you become to the target audience. So you've got these kind of two methods, which are basically, one is let's cut the pleasantries, let's try and sell something. And the other one is let's try and attract every sale. The reality is it's a mix of things. And what most people are missing is the actual engagement piece. How do we engage the prospects? How do we get them into a place where they're paying attention to us, where they see us as influential in their world. And that's the bit we're missing. And that's the gap that LinkedIn events can fill. It can get people engaged to the point where when you try and convert them, they're more open to a discovery call. They're more open to a discussion. So instead of having a cold person, you have a more open person. Or instead of having a closed prospect who doesn't know you from Adam, you now have some common ground and they have some affinity or interest in what you do because they've come to your LinkedIn event. So just, Sydney said it was completely free. It is. I'll just leave this here, by the way. If you want us to get you registrations, we work on a little process where we'll, over a 3-month period, we will get you 400 of your ICP to one of your webinars, or 2 of your webinars, or 3 if you want to do it in 3. We'll show you how to persuasively present your webinar, how to book the follow-up calls, exactly what to do, and then how to convert those calls into clients. So it's not for everybody, this, but if you're looking at, I need 400 people, they might be CIOs, they might be CTOs, they might be CMOs, they might be small business owners, they might be marketing managers, they might be product managers. It doesn't matter who they are. Whether they're big companies, small companies, we do this for big cyber technology companies and we do it for small businesses. We'll get you 400 registrations. We'll show you exactly what to do. We'll get the people there with you. So we'll get the people there. You have to present and we'll show you how to follow up. So send me an email if you want details on that. Remember, you send me an email. Dear Dean, please send me the details of the 400 webinar offer and I will send you some details. Not now, tomorrow. I'll throw this up at the end, but we need to get on because I'm tight on time. So if we do this bit, we do all of the bits, we engage the prospects first before the discovery call, we'll get 3 times the results of cold outreach. In fact, I was talking to somebody today, they were getting 1% with cold outreach. They're getting 6 to 7%. So let's call it 6 times the return of cold outreach. We'll stay on the cautious side, 6 times, because they've engaged their prospects before they've tried to get the calls. So let's look at LinkedIn events in a little bit more detail. And feel free to ask questions in the chat. So first of all, LinkedIn events. They're one-click sign-up events. First things first, one-click sign-ups. Dead simple. There's a few different formats. In-person, off-platform, live on LinkedIn, audio event. And to be honest with you, I'm going to give you some practical tips here. Audio events are best on your profile. You get a better show-up rate on them. LinkedIn Lives are better on your company page because you get the data capture feature on your company page that you don't get on your profile. You can invite your connections and your team. So if there's a team of you, a small business or a sales team, you can invite all of your connections, all of your prospects from multiple profiles to one event. So if there was 5 of you, you could invite a lot of people to an event. You can invite them really quickly. It's a one-click registration thing. It's dead simple. One-click registration, and LinkedIn says you're in. It'll send them an email with it in their calendar. It'll send them nudges on LinkedIn. And as I said, if it's on your company page, you can do the data capture piece. But you can do both events, all the different events, on both the profile and the company page. But some events are better on profiles and others are better on company pages. And LinkedIn Live and off-platform events are pretty much, even in person to some degree, the first 3 are better on a company page. The audio events are actually better on a profile. So these are the different types. Now, when I'm talking to clients and they're trying to sell their expertise or a piece of technology or software, I always recommend that the best thing to do is the LinkedIn Lives. But actually a precursor to them is the audio events. They can be very persuasive at building some relationships. I'll give you an example. When I do an audio event on my profile, I'll have, on a low one, I'll have maybe 25, 30 inbound DMs because of the way I present it and the way I deliver it, which is what we show our clients how to do. I'll have 25, 30 inbound DMs, and when I follow up, I'll get a load more as well of people wanting to talk and share more and discuss stuff. So if I'm operating in a very difficult industry where it's hard to engage my prospects, this can be a bridge pre-discovery call to help you get the discovery calls themselves. So I'll give you an example. When I do this every month. I do these events all the time. I work on the basis that what I need to do is achieve 1,500 net new people. So 1,500 net new people to my events in a month. If I do that, I will generate 150, maybe a few more, but roughly about 10% of those will go to calls. 10% of the attendees will go to calls of the net new. Sometimes I'll go do events and people will come multiple times, but net new attendees, it's about 10%. So, and it's relatively easy to put 200 people, 200 bums on seats, 200 registrations. That will drop down to about 20 calls. And then it's down to how you run that call to how you convert them. So I've been doing these events for 3 years, one a week. I've done 208 of these and built my business. I ran a training business, so I was in person in venues, and then March 2020 came along and we flipped our whole business model to this and grew our business, tripled our business by doing this. How often Thomas has asked, how often am I doing these events? Well, I have a reasonably sized business, but we're still in the small business category, but I have a team of about 50 people. And so I run these events every week. Now, for most businesses, they don't need 150 discovery calls to hit their sales quota and hit their revenue target. They might need 20. They might need 10. So you might only have to do one of these a month. Like one event a month could generate all of your sales calls for the month. So in one day, you could have all of your sales calls nailed. Now, you wouldn't just do that. You'd do other things on LinkedIn first, social selling and content and all the other things. But actually, you can nail a month's worth of appointments in one day. Hi, Hake. Hi, Thomas. Hopefully that answers your question. So why do them, right? Live events, online events, despite they've been hammered to death and everybody's done webinars, they're actually really popular still. Buyers love to engage them. Like I said, 22% of decision makers like to explore video related content like this, like you're watching today, to help them in their buying journey. So they like to do it. Less and less time is spent with the seller, whoever's trying to sell to the customer, and the buyer. It's less now than it's ever been. They're doing more research away from you. And this is a way where you can demonstrate your expertise. For an example, some people on this session tonight, some people will go, Dean talks a lot of sense. And some people will go, he talks some sense, but I don't like him, right? And this is the great thing about the live LinkedIn events. You get to see me unscripted, just talking away, sharing my expertise. And some people will go, this guy knows what he's talking about, this guy doesn't. I like the way this guy's style, or I don't. So the other good thing about live events like this is that it's an automatic filtering system. What do I mean by that? Well, if you can't get on with somebody in this scenario, what makes you think it's going to be any better when you get on a discovery call with them? So actually it's better because the people who come to the call are more likely to purchase because they've seen you, they've got to know you a little bit better, so they get your vibe a little bit more. And personality and how people connect with you is just as important as the value and the way you offer your product. So it's still a popular way. You get to build your expertise, you get to build some authority and trust in the customer's world, because the information you deliver on your event is either valuable to them or it isn't. It's either you seem knowledgeable or you don't. And so you go into the discovery call with almost a bit of respect, a bit of trust. You know, they're not going to trust you with their children or their bank card. But it's different from you go onto a call, they've never met you before, they have zero knowledge of who you are. You could be the latest blagger in a row that they've had, but when they've come to a discovery call from something like this, they go, yeah, you made some really interesting points. You have some common ground and you have a degree of trust and authority in their world. It makes it easier to move the conversation forward. So the other thing is, because of that, the buyers are more likely to be willing to have a conversation with you. If I presented this and I send you an email or a message tomorrow, you're going to be more likely to respond to me than if I just sent you an email out of the blue and you didn't have a clue who I was. You're more likely to be receptive to me, right? And here's a really important tip, and I see people making this mistake all over LinkedIn. Do not make this mistake. Most buyers, particularly senior level decision makers, do not want to come to a Zoom. They do not want to come to a Teams call. So if you run your LinkedIn event as an off-platform event, you will lose so many of your registrations simply because what happens on the Zoom? Am I going to be asked to come off, put my camera on and introduce myself? And I could be asked a question about why have I decided to join? I don't want to do that. I just want to sit and watch. And so this is where LinkedIn live events, where I'm doing tonight, broadcasting live. I'm broadcasting live on YouTube for some people, live on LinkedIn. Yes, I can't talk to you and talk back, but for some buyers, that's actually reassuring because they can watch me and know that I don't know who they are. I'm not going to harass them. I'm not going to ask them awkward questions. They don't have to signal any interest at all. They can just watch and relax. Whereas you put Zoom up or Teams, it's like, oh, do I really want to join in that? And then there's also this awkward bit because nobody ever joins these lives on time. That what happens if they miss it? Do you just send them the replay? Well, on LinkedIn Live, if they come to the event late, they start and they can get in at any time. And what you find is that whoever watches live, double that will come back late. So you double your show up rates if you do it LinkedIn Live, and you reduce them if you push people to Zoom or Teams. So don't do it on the platform. Make it as obvious as you can, and you'll gain more attention and more visibility from doing it that way. So just as I said, I'm coming back to this slide. I've got to show you some bits about follow-up and the process map, how you literally do the process. If you want the mini course, drop me an email, send an email to me, hi@maverick.io. So, yes, Thomas, absolutely. Lila, thank you so much, right? So, very important. If you want the free mini course, don't put your email in the chat. I've never found a way to adequately explain this. Go to your email, Outlook or Gmail, send me an email from Outlook or Gmail, whatever email client you use, hi@maverick.io, and say, can I have free access to that mini course? And we will send it to you. But yes, Zoom is a no-go. It's absolute no-go. So I always do them live, open like this. One of the reasons I do it on YouTube, here's another little tip, is what I'll do is when people sign up for my live events, I will send them email reminders as well, but I'll send them email reminders to join on YouTube. And the reason I do that is I want to build that little bit of awareness of Maverick and Dean outside of LinkedIn. And so some people will be watching on YouTube, not huge amounts, most people will be on LinkedIn or wherever, but I send the YouTube link so it pushes people out of the platform, and those people watching help boost the visibility of Maverick on YouTube. So other people, and this is a strange thing, I did one webinar And we only had about 500 people register, which means basically in the 24 hours after, we might get 150, 200 watch the whole thing or watch the thing. So about 40% will watch the whole thing. We'll follow up everybody, by the way, but 40%. But 3 months later on YouTube, that video had 3,500 views because the original attendees helped boost that video, and so more people have seen it, and we get a trickle of people asking for more information just from that one video. So it's a bit of a long-term strategy to do that, but it does help us on YouTube. So, hi Kritika. So why host them, right? First things first, C-level decision makers are more likely to attend than respond to a cold DM. Number one, C-level decision makers are more likely to attend than respond to a DM. You can focus your topic, and this is key, right? This is key. Focus your topic on the pain points and the outcomes that people want to achieve, and then you attract the people who resonate with the message. The title of your webinar, of your LinkedIn event, is the most important thing. It pretty much determines 80% of your success. The other thing is, if you're a company page admin here or a personal profile admin, these events create a massive buzz around your company page. People start to follow, engage with your content because they've got some value and they appreciate what they do. And just as a fact, by the way, if you're watching this and get some value, go tell somebody about it, go make a post about it, mention us on a post, that would be awesome. But LinkedIn events amplify your business brand. They amplify your profile. If you run it on your profile, they are massive brand boosters as well. And importantly, if you use your company page, you can build an email list very fast. If you're running an event every month, and that's what we help our clients do, an event with 200 people registered every single month with their decision makers. So they choose what they want there. Their decision makers. You could be growing your email list by net 140, 150 new emails every month from doing one thing that takes you an hour of time to present and not very much to actually promote, very little to promote. And you could be having that email list building. I've built an email list with hundreds of thousands of emails that builds my business, which is almost a second revenue channel, really. LinkedIn is one revenue channel and the live event is a revenue channel, but then the email list itself, because not everybody's in a position to buy, actually nurturing people in the email list, you'll drop more prospects from that 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line. So the email list is like the long-term value. I call it the algorithm-proof business model, because every other platform, with the exception of cold email, every other platform, you have an algorithm filtering you. But when you build your own email list, you've actually got the control of how and when you nurture them and what you say and what they see. You don't have that ability on LinkedIn with the content. You don't have that ability on Instagram or any other channel, with the exception of cold email, which is email itself. So email list building is a long-term win and a long-term investment, but it pays off massively. So that's the other benefit of doing these events. So like I said, I've got a process map to share with you in a second. Like I said, if you want us to get you 400 registrations to your webinars, 1 webinar, 2 webinar, 3 webinar, whichever way we do it, show you how to present, help you book the follow-up calls, convert those calls into clients. There's no commitment right now, but if you want to talk about how we do that for our clients and potentially look at how we could do that for you, you pick the decision makers. You pick, I want CIOs, I want CTOs, I want marketing managers, I want founders, I want HR people. You pick. We will help you do it. So there's no commitment or anything. That's not how we roll. But if you want to know, email us, and this is a done with you stroke done for you service. So it's kind of part you, part us, and we do it together, like a partnership. If you want to know how to do that, if you want to investigate how to do that, send me an email. Email client, go to your email, Outlook, Gmail, type in our email address, send me an email and say, I want to know more about your offer. We'll arrange a time to speak and talk about it. So that's my offer. There's no sales pitch today. If we got 4 left and countdowns and you're going to miss out, all that crazy. I was going to swear then, but I won't. So if you want to know about that, email me. Right, so this is what the process looks like, right? The process looks like. So I'll just break this down. So the first thing is, obviously, you get your event up. You put your event up, decide on your topic. That's the strategy piece that's really important. Strategy piece is very, very important. Then what you need to do is basically invite. And this is inviting people, the people you want to show up. And that's a mixture of opportunities. It's both a big mixture of activities. It's using the invite feature on the event itself. It's using the invite feature. It's using the content of the event in your feed. And it's sharing it with some of your new connections to say, hey, I'm running this event. It's a mix of activities together. But roughly 2,000 invites equals 2,000 signups, 200 signups, which equals 20 calls. 2,000 invites is not a big deal, and you don't have to send 2,000 DMs. But that's roughly what it looks like. Then you've got the reminder piece, making sure people don't forget. Now, LinkedIn will do some of this, but you may want to augment it with your own email reminders to make sure people don't forget. Then you come to the day of the event, and that's where you put your presentation together in a very clear order. And we've got a cadence of how you put your presentation together so that it's persuasive, it's engaging, it's got value, but also you get what you want out of it. You want interest. You want people going, I want to know more. I want to talk to some people. So we put that together with you, or you can do it yourself. This is the process map. You can do this, right? The secret sauce we have is actually in how we build the event and how we position the event and then how we follow up the event. That's our secret sauce. You can go on Google and say, how do I build a LinkedIn event? That's easy. But it's the invite, reminders, then the day of the event, the persuasive presentation, then sharing the replay, because not everybody's come, and then it's a follow-up process. And just as a tip, 3 to 4 follow-ups. 3 to 4 follow-ups. And that's how you book the calls. And then all of those people that have not responded, do not ditch them. Do not ignore them for 3 months. Nurture them by adding value in an email list. And that's how you build. LinkedIn's event is your top of funnel. You drop out the people who are interested, or the people drop all the way through who are really interested, and they're the people you'll have the initial calls with. And then the rest of the people go into your nurture funnel, where you will nurture them, and some will drop out in 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 2 years. I had somebody who'd come to one of our events 2.5 years ago. They said, we weren't in a position to buy from you, but we've really enjoyed some of your newsletters. We've been coming to your stuff. I want to do this. This is what we want to do. How much is it and when can we do it? So email is a long-term game. Yes, there's some quick wins, but the events are the quick wins really out of this process. And tip, you want to do all of your follow-up within 3 days of the event being over. There's this goodwill that you get in the 3 days after the event. So you want to do the follow-up quickly and efficiently, not within an hour, but within 3 days. You don't want to be 3 days down the line going, oh, I must follow these people up. And I've had people do that. And I'm like, what planet are you on here? Well, I don't want to do it too quick. Do you want to do what? 3 days is the window. You want to do the follow-up within 3 days. I see this a lot with bigger companies as well. When I consult with bigger companies, they'll get lead magnet downloads. So they'll be running an ad campaign on social media or wherever, and people will be downloading their lead magnets. And it can take anywhere from a week to 2 weeks for those leads to get to the salespeople to follow up. And worse still, then sometimes the salespeople can take another week to get round to following them up. And then what you see is marketing going, they were great leads. And sales going, no, none of them responded to me. You took too long. The goodwill of the download, the goodwill of the registration, the goodwill of the event is gone. And you are just another person like everybody else. So there needs to be a well-oiled machine behind this. And that's why we do this in the way we do. And that's why we handhold clients, or we help step in and do some of the work for them, because we know that there is a juggernaut on this event system that actually, if you want the calls, you can't mess around. You can't sit on it for weeks. You've got to take action and do it. And this is the process map. This is the simplistic process map of invite, reminders, persuasive presentation, replay reminder, give them the link to the replay, and follow up. And that replay and follow up has to be done within 3 days. Now, responses to the follow-ups and all that kind of stuff, that can take longer, but you want the follow-ups done within 3 days. This is an example of the schedule. This is a schedule we would work on with a client. It depends on the companies that we're working with, but this is what a typical one would look like. So we would have a whole 8-week plan for an event. So it would be promoted in the feeds. It would be promoted, the whole plan is from 8 weeks out all the way through to the whole thing's planned to get the events, and then there's event reminders, and then there's a whole follow-up system afterwards, webinar schedule. That's how you get the people there. So it's a whole mechanic. And the way to think about it is this. If you got 20 sales calls from 200 people, right? 200 of the right people, 20 sales calls, and you had, I don't know, a 25% conversion rate on those calls. So the right people came to the webinar, the right people you followed up and booked the calls. So you got 20 of the right people coming to those calls, and you can close 25% of them. That's 5 new customers. Now, some would argue they can do better than that, and they might, but let's work on 5. 5 new customers. If they're in cybersecurity, you are the best salesperson that company's probably ever got. 5 new customers like that. If you're a small business owner and you get 5 new customers, that's probably a record month. Now, that's the initial webinar. You've still got, if you've got 20 calls, you've still got 180 people going into your email list. Those 180 people, you'll probably get another 20 out of that over the next 12 months. So basically, if we said another 20, you got 25, we're talking about 10 new clients from 1 hour of presentation like this, and a little bit of prep work, which if you do it on a regular basis becomes copy and paste, pretty much. So you've got a copy and paste system that will bring you 200 potential leads every month, of which you'll get 20 calls. 5 could turn into customers, and future down the line, another 5 might drop out as customers as well. And you run that every month. You see where that goes? You see where that goes. And if you're a salesperson selling big, high value, high ticket stuff, and you go, well, actually, I might only sell 1 because you're selling something for £250,000 or something, that would still work. It's still a viable option. Thomas has got some good questions, so I'm going to come to Thomas's question in a second. So Thomas's question is, what's the best day and time for hosting events, US-based audience? Okay, so Thomas, the optimum times, it doesn't really matter so much about time zones, because it's pretty much the same for every time zone. So the first one is, number 1, depends on if they're small business owners or business owners. Generally, it's better if they are in the evening. So if they're a managing director, a founder, a small business owner, a freelancer, independent business owner, they are better in an evening. So we do ours at 7 p.m. UK time to catch the UK small business and pick up some of the US audience as well. So that's the first time. So if they're an employee, yeah, leadership's a bit different. So C-level's a bit different. They can go either way. But if it's an employee, they're better in the kind of just late lunchtime, early afternoon time, when their energy levels are starting to wane. They can tune into this. They can watch it whilst they're doing things at the desk, or listen to it whilst they're doing things at the desk. So basically, we always recommend that kind of 1 till 3 mark. for employees and managers and stuff like that, if it's part of their day job, of course. And then if they're business owners, business leaders, evening can be better. But some of your C-levels and senior managers can spin both ways. So that's what we found. And typically avoid Mondays and Fridays. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are really good because, you know, it's a better time of the week. Mondays is usually really busy, and Friday people usually check out early, and nobody wants to go to very few people want to go to a webinar on a Friday evening. So any questions on that process? Now, I'm more than happy to share slides and replay, which I'll do tomorrow. But if you want to know more about my offer that I've made here and you're curious about it, want to chat with us about it, drop us an email. If you want access to the mini course, let me see if I can find the slide for the mini course. If you want access to the mini course, again, drop me an email. Make sure if you're inquiring about two things, make sure you let us know it's the two things. So if you want the mini course and a conversation with us about how to do it for you or with you, drop us a line. So email us and ask us the questions. If there's something I've covered or not covered and you think, I'd love to ask that question, but I didn't get round to it, I didn't think of it at the time, just send me an email or message me on LinkedIn, ask your question, more than happy to answer any questions. And like I said, my policy with this event is, number one, I've got to build the brand and build trust. So if you get value from this, one way you can repay me if you've been interested and think, that was great, Dean, thank you so much. Please go post about it. Please follow our company page. Please come and check out what we're doing. And even just share a post or tell people about it. That would be awesome for us. I know that's a really simple thing to do, but it means a lot and it makes a huge difference to what we do, because we're trying to build trust in the market around what we do and how we do it. And we're trying to show people a different way of doing things that's a bit better than just hammering people with incessant sales pitches. And we know that you kind of have to follow up and you have to outreach and all that, but there's ways to make it less annoying or less pushy. So are there any more questions? Any more questions before we wrap up? You're a quiet bunch, so I told you we'd finish early. If you've got questions, DM me. If you want to know about the offer, then are curious about it, drop us an email. If you want the mini course, do the same thing, hi@maverick.io. And if you want to share the love with the gods, as I call it, or give us favor with the gods, the algorithm gods, please support our content, our pages, and tell other people about it. Any more questions before I wrap up? Going once, going twice. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you giving me this time, especially on a sunny day here in the UK. Have a great rest of the week and reach out to us if you need anything about growing your business, winning clients, or building your presence and brand on LinkedIn. Thanks for your time.